Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about jQuery events. We already used some of them like the click event, and we know that they are slightly different than in vanilla JavaScript. So their names are a bit different, but as you can see on this table, the main difference is that on jQuery we don't have the on before the event. So the onClick event in JavaScript is going to be click in jQuery and so on. But we also know that the way we set the event is also a bit different. So instead of using the equal sign and then a function, we know that in jQuery, we should use the function as an argument of the method. So the event is a method, and as an argument, we are going to pass the function that's going to be executed when the event is detected. Now, always remember that if you are a bit confused with this syntax, always do it step by step. So first, you select the element you want. So let's say it's an element with the ID of example, and then the name of the event, which is click. Now, before doing anything, you just open and close parentheses and include the semicolon. That's the basic syntax. Inside here, we need a function. So function, open and close parentheses for the arguments, if there are any. Open and close curly braces where we are going to place the code. So this is step 2. And now step 3, we just hit enter. And we are going to write our code inside here. So if you do it like this, you will never be confused. Now let's talk about an interesting event, which is the ready event. So in web development, many problems are caused because the script tries to interact with an element that hasn't been loaded yet. So we can avoid this by using the ready event. So this means that first we are going to wait for, in this case, the document to be loaded, or in this case, to be ready. And only after that, we are going to try to do anything with the DOM. So let's get this and bring it to our script. So one thing that's common to do, instead of writing everything like we did, of course, we did not include this because we weren't using jQuery. But when you start a project with jQuery, it is normal to first use the ready event for the document, and then all your code is going to be written inside here. So nothing is going to be executed before we make sure that the page was fully loaded, which is good. This is going to avoid many problems. And this is so important that there's even a simpler way to write this. So this is how we write the same thing. I know this is not very intuitive. We can't look at this and figure out that this is actually a ready event on the document object. I know that, but this is exactly the same thing that we have above. So this is shorter. So let's get this one and let's replace it here. So in jQuery, this is the same thing of setting the ready event to the document object. So when we do this, we won't have the problem I've just mentioned. So every time we start a project, we are going to start like this, and then all the code for our page is going to be written inside here. So now I can just erase this. I'm going to add a comment because, like I said, this is not very intuitive what this is doing. So just a reminder that this is the ready event for the document object. And now we can add another comment inside here, and we could write add all the code of your page inside here. Okay. Now we don't need this for now. I just wanted to show you this. So Shift Alt A to comment everything. And now going back to the course material, one more thing I want to talk about before we finish is the on method. So this method is an alternative way of working with events. So in this case, as you can see, instead of using the name of the event as the name of the method is going to be on. So then in this case, instead of just passing a function, we need two arguments. The first one is going to be the name of the event inside quotation marks, and the second argument is going to be the function. So again, let's go to Visual Studio Code and let's write this step by step. So first, the selector for the element. For this example, I'm just going to write element, and now the name of the method, which in this case is on. So what we do now, open and close parentheses, semicolon. Now inside here, we need two arguments. The first argument is the name of the event. In this case, let's use click as an example. And the second argument is going to be the function. So function, open and close parentheses, open and close curly braces. And now that this is organized, now that we see that we are doing everything right, we can break the line and start writing the code for this event. So this is another way of using events, and at a first glance, it seems that there's no advantages in doing this. Why would we make it more complicated if we can just use the name of the event instead of doing it like this and then having to pass two arguments? But actually, this is very good if we want to set multiple events at the same time. So in this example, we are setting 3 events at the same time, and we just have to select the element once. So here, let's go back to the code. And the way we are going to write this, if we have multiple events, is a bit different. So let me erase everything. In this case, we are going to pass an object. So here we have an object. Now we can break the line. So what is an object? Is a set of key value pairs. So the keys are going to be the names of the events. In this case, we don't need quotation marks. So the first key or property of this object is going to be the click event. So then we separate keys and values on objects with a colon. And the value is going to be the function. So function, open and close parentheses, open and close curly braces. And this is how we write the on method with multiple events. So inside here is the code to be executed. And now the cool thing of doing this is that if we want to set multiple events, we just use comma, and then we can list as many events as we want. So we can do like this and set another one. Let's say the mouse enter event. And we are doing this by selecting the element only once. So if you're setting multiple events at the same time, it is a good idea to use the on method. Now, before we finish, I have a challenge for you. So here we have an input field with the ID of full name. Let's inspect this element. So here it is, an input field with an ID of full name. And right next to it, we have a hidden button. So if you go to the HTML here, you will see that we have a button with the display set to none. If I remove this, now we can see the button. So it's here, but it's hidden. So what I want you to do here is the following. So the button is going to start hidden. Now it's hidden. So when you start writing something, I want you to show the button. And I want you to do this using jQuery and events. But if for some reason I erase what's here, so I already wrote something and now I want to see the button. So this is what I want to see in case I wrote something. But if I erase everything and the field is empty again, I want you to hide the button again. So in other words, if there's some name written inside here, I want to see the button. If there's nothing written inside here, I don't want to see the button. So let's see how you solve this problem using jQuery and events. In the next video, I'm going to be back here to solve this in video. I'll see you then.